Joyce through a mutual friend, and lovely person. We hit it off right away. Anyway, nobody's ever really helped me before, and I was having a bad situation with my marriage, and she stepped up to the plate, honorable. She helped me so much, and she was right on the ball with everything. Everything went through at a perfect timeline. It was great. So she's just a great person. She helps out anybody that's in need. She did such a good job. I can't even say enough about her. Nobody's ever really, like, I'm the giver kind of person. Like, I always try to help people, and nobody's ever helped me. And then we had this one conversation, and she told me she could help me, and it was, I just broke down in tears, you know, and she's been a great friend ever since. So.
My dad was a lumberman. He worked in the woods with the 9 boys. He made sure that they all went and worked in the woods with them. Most of them stayed, 5 of them stayed working in the woods. We're from the Miramichi, and it was a hard life because, especially not that long ago, they closed down all of the mills, most of the mills, and people are struggling. Our family, because we had such a big family, my parents struggled. We had to have our own, like, we did gardens, and we feed off our own land because there was no way that you'd be able to feed everybody with the amount of money that comes in. I've never saw much of my dad because he'd get up early in the morning before we got up, and he'd come home, actually when we were sleeping. So that was the life that we knew. I knew that growing up that I really didn't want to be a housewife, and there's more to life to being a housewife. So I decided I was going to go to university. Like most kids in my generation, at 18, they could hardly wait to get out of the house to go and be on their own. And I went to university, and with, of course, a student loan because the parents couldn't help because they're not financially able to help. So I went to university, met this wonderful man, which I had my first son, and but he was born with cerebral palsy, and at that time we didn't know to what extreme, because when they're that young they can't tell you that. But they did tell you that we spend most of our time in physiotherapy, so 3 times a week I'd have to go to physiotherapy. And we didn't have that much money either, my husband and I. And I used to take the bus and travel about an hour with my son just to get to physiotherapy every day. So I knew I couldn't go back to university. He was my priority.
J'ai rencontré Joyce, ça fait à peu près 5 ans. Puis dans ce temps-là, j'étais dans une situation assez compliquée parce que j'avais ma fille avec moi, puis elle passait des temps assez compliqués. Puis Joyce m'a aidé beaucoup pour elle avec la cour. Et je me souviens, elle m'avait dit « OK, là, ça coûte tant pour aider ta fille. » Puis là, j'ai dit « OK, est-ce que je peux te donner des chèques antidatés? » Fait que là, avec tout ça, ben là, à un moment donné, un mois, je ne pouvais pas rencontrer l'argent. Fait que j'ai appelé Joyce un peu avant. J'ai dit, Joyce, ça te dérangerait-tu de le déposer plus tard? Fait que, elle a dit, pas de problème. Puis après ça, une couple de jours après, elle m'appelle. Puis elle me dit, Lise, est-ce que tu as regardé dans la boîte à mal? J'ai dit non. Fait que là, je vais dans la boîte à mal, je regarde. Puis j'avais un 500 $ qu'elle m'a remis. Fait que j'ai dit, wow, le Père Noël existe. Puis après ça, on était des amis, puis j'ai vu dans des situations des gens qui venaient voir Joyce, puis moi, dans mon travail, j'envoyais des gens à Joyce aussi. Puis Joyce, ça les a vraiment aidés, puis elle disait, ben, OK, c'est correct, t'as pas d'argent, on va s'arranger, puis beaucoup des gens partaient à pleurer, puis ils disaient, mon Dieu Seigneur, c'est donc bien une bonne femme, cette femme-là.
Of course, we talked about John Locke, and he's now 33. I have a son, Jonathan. He's 24. He goes to university at St. Thomas University. And I have a daughter who is 23, and she is doing military police on the reserve.
My mother, Joyce Richardson, she's always been an inspiration for me. She's been a single mother her entire life. She's always been so inspirational to me. She's pushed me. I didn't even graduate high school, and instead I went to the Canadian Forces. But when I came out, I was still eligible to go to university, and she continued to push me, and now I'm ready to go into my master's degree. There's some great people in New Brunswick who ran, business executives and people with a lot of experience. But what we really need is somebody who's very relatable to the people around them and can sit down and be like, hey, these are some of the situations that I've gone through which are very similar to your situations. So for sure, when I get up to become a member of Parliament, there's no way that I'm going to vote in something that would have made my own personal life go through more hardship. So that's why I'm very proud to be helping my mother try and get this nomination for the NDP.
I always felt the need to see people, because it was only just me and my son all the time at home. So somebody said to me, well, you're very good with children, why don't you just babysit kids in your own home? So I've done that. I started babysitting kids in my own home, and then after people got to know a lot heard about me, I was getting more than 1, then 2, 3, and then eventually get to a point where you needed a permit in order to get any more kids. So I decided to apply for a permit. So at the age of 23, I owned my first daycare center.
She owned a daycare, and she was a single mother at the time as well. So she knows the struggles we go through and everything that needs to be done in order to get the daycares at the price that we need it.
At the same time, I was thinking, why can't I just teach the children how to speak French? Because in Miramichi, most of them are English, and they used to come to my daycare, and I took them from the infant up, and I spoke only French to them, and they learned how to speak French. Because that's the only way that I believe that they will learn the French properly if they learn it right from the beginning. In February of this year, someone asked me to go to Florida with them, and I haven't been on vacation for 5 years. So I decided that I was going to venture the Florida trip. When I was there, a week after I was there, he decided to go on a motorcycle ride. I'm not into motorcycles, but I figured let's go on a motorcycle. Live dangerously. Well, I did live dangerously, because about 3 hours into the trip, as we were going through a green light, this driver went through a red light and hit the motorcycle that I was on. And I remember flying into the air, hitting the pavement. And one of the things I said when I was still conscious, I said, I'm not dying this way, I haven't made the difference yet. The reason I chose to be the NDP, because they're all about helping others. And it's me. That's what I'm all about. I want to be able to help people. I don't want to leave. Nobody's going to be forgotten, and that's what's important. It doesn't matter if they don't make any money. It doesn't matter if they make a lot. Nobody's going to be left out. And if people say that, what are you doing, Joyce? Why are you doing this? It can't be done. NDPs are not going to get in. I don't believe that. And I don't want anybody to let anybody tell you that it can't be done, because it is going to be done.